Hey everyone, it's Jonathan Silva here, and today I'm going to be reviewing 3 films that I've managed to catch up on this past weekend: Logan, Get Out, and the Lego Batman movie. So, without further ado, let's get started. And don't judge me, I was working on that for a long time. You're welcome, Coleman.
No. No. No.
Holy fuck. Anyway, so the first film we're going to be talking about is Logan. Now, I don't want to get into some of the spoilers about Logan, even though many of you have probably already seen it with its $85 million weekend. It's good, to say the least. It's great, to be honest. It's possibly one of the better X-Men films of all time so far. So Logan, without spoiling, is about the titular Logan, Hugh Jackman, with his mission on trying to protect not only Professor X, but his potential clone or daughter, X-23, I guess. I really don't want to go much more into it, but it does end up hitting a more emotional and human note than many of the other X-Men films. It's one of the better ones, like I said before. If I had to compile a list, I would have to put this just underneath X-Men 2, X-Men United. Hugh Jackman provides the humanity, and I guess this relates to also James Mangold, who wrote the film, brings a humanity towards Logan that we really haven't seen much before. Yeah, we've seen him fight and go berserker in like X-Men 1 and 2 and 3 and X-Men Origins and the Wolverine and Days of Future Past and a little bit in X-Men Apocalypse and that small bit in X-Men First Class. Anyway, besides that, I think he provides a humanity that we haven't seen before. Yeah, he protected some of the kids in the X-Men mansion in X-Men 2, which was not only satisfying to watch, but also plays to his character. I think here he's a little bit more of a father figure and more of a guardian. Takes on more of the role of a guardian that plays to his strengths, not only as an actor, but also as the character in itself. We've seen Wolverine since 2000 as this pompous jerk who says he's always there for himself. He's only caring about himself, but always in the end always finds the right thing to do. And here it's all about finding the right thing to do. I think his interactions, Hugh Jackman's interactions with Patrick Stewart, are possibly one of the better parts of the film. And the breakout star of the film is Daphne Keane, who plays Laura Kinney, or X-23, who is phenomenal. I don't know if she's doing some of those stunts. I highly doubt it, though. It's fantastic, even though a stunt woman or even it's CG, even though they're doing most of the stunts and flips and kicks and jumping on top of cars. I think Daphne Keene's softer, more quieter moments throughout the film with just her staring at Hugh Jackman is enough to make her one of the most awesome, stoic people in the film. She holds her own against, Patrick Stewart and Hugh Jackman. Hugh Jackman is grimacing and growling almost the entire film, and you look at Daphne Keane and she almost has that same sort of look and stature to her, and she looks menacing. She looks like the type of person you wouldn't want to mess with at all, even though she's like, what, 9 or 10 at this point. There is a lot of violence in the film, and people went crazy, or should I say berserk, over the fact that we finally get to see a true to form, true to life version of Wolverine's berserker rage. There's a lot of head stabbing, like John Wick 2 had a lot of headshots. Logan has a lot of head stabbing. I think there was, at one point, he stabs one guy in the back of the head and you can see the claws come out the front of his face. It's very brutal, it's very violent, but I think it speaks more about Logan's historic histories, his histories with violence, and something that we got a short glimpse of in X-Men Origins Wolverine, with every single war he's been in and looking at some of the destruction that he's been a part of, and actually seeing that destruction come to life with blood and with the repercussions of violence that we've yet to see before, really does show and really plays to the tiredness that Hugh Jackman is kind of portraying with this character. I really don't want to give too much away. There is some slowdown around the end of the second act. It kind of just comes to a screeching halt in terms of waiting for the next action set piece to kick in, because we only have, I think, like 10 minutes or 20 minutes left in the whole picture. It does come to a screeching halt, but that doesn't mean that the film gets any less entertaining. If you really want to watch it, I recommend watching it on the big screen. It is a beautiful film. It's for a dark film, or a film that deals with dark themes and dark tones. It's almost monochromatic without being monochromatic. I mean, you get the sense of the sun setting and the beautiful bright orange tinge of a western as they go through Mexico and through the Midwest, and it starts to get a little bit greener and bluer and a little bit more colorful. But in my review, I mentioned Batman versus Superman, and even Suicide Squad to an extent, where they're dealing with dark themes and dark tones, and the filmmakers, for whatever reason, decided to digitally mute the palette of the film, where it becomes dark and dour, and so whatever was a bright blue background turns into like this of a gray background. Here, Mangold really doesn't do that to the film. It's kind of more, even though he's talked about doing a black and white version of the film, you can really see that there's a keen eye for color, at least as we go through each area, from, as I mentioned, the orange tint of the Midwest of Mexico, to the bright green and blues of North Dakota. It's a beautiful looking film. If you want to read the full review, you can check out the link to Logan and many of the other reviews in the description down below, or you can visit lazydogfilms.net.
I ain't never seen you like this before, bruh.
Meeting families and taking road trips. Don't come back all bougie, man.
Come back, got your damn pants up to your damn stomach.
So you guys coming up from the city?
The other movie I saw this weekend was Get Out, written and directed by the one half of Key and Peele, Jordan Peele. It is a horror film. I use that term loosely because it is not scary. It's about a black man dating a white woman who goes to visit her parents for the first time in an upstate New York affluent white neighborhood. I can't give too much away about this because it dives into some sick territory, some weird territory. People honking outside. It dives into some weird territory that will spoil the film if I go too much into it. It's a film that deals with post-Obama America, where it seems like white people, or just people of non-color in general, sort of try to say the right things and end up coming off as dickish. Like, for example, there's a scene in the film where a white man is talking to Daniel Kaluuya, who plays the lead Chris, and he's telling him about, asking him if he plays golf, and he says, you know what, not really, I haven't played golf in a while, and the man tells Chris, oh, I know Tiger Woods, and just seeing the awkwardness on Chris's face as he tries to get out as the title suggests, of that conversation, and moves on to something else. And even as he moves on to something else, he moves on to another woman who's having a conversation, who is like fondling his shoulder, and he looks at his girlfriend. She looks at his girlfriend and asks, is it true? Which is even more awkward. And so it's just these things that mainly white people do that make people of color feel uncomfortable. Like, I think Peele is trying to say that there is a separate but equal sort of mentality to today's America, while also mentioning that, yeah, we might be equal on this term and this term and this term. There are still some things that are still touchy and you can't talk about. There's a lot to unpack here, actually, and this is one of the films that I think deserves a second or third viewing, because there is a lot to unpack without trying to spoil the whole film. I think this is going to be one of the films that when it does come out on VOD and DVD and Blu-ray, that I might tackle in one of my video essays. I think that it's unique enough for you to watch it. In theaters, I think it's garnered enough attention that probably you've seen it already. It's an interesting film. It's not a great film. It has like a 99% on Rotten Tomatoes, and I can understand why many critics have given it positive reviews. It's because of its uniqueness, especially in such a large, big-budgeted horror film. Again, I use the term horror loosely. It feels more like an episode of The Twilight Zone, more like the sci-fi epic of The Twilight Zone, and less like a paranormal activity type of horror film. There's a lot that Peele has to say about this racial divide in America, and I really don't want to spoil it, because if you haven't seen it, I really want you to see it. It's like, okay, there are some problems with the film. Those first 40 minutes in the film are such a drag. There isn't much going on. It's very slow. It was almost coming to the point where I think I was about to walk out of the theater, because it wasn't building to, it felt like it wasn't building to absolutely anything, until finally we get to the parents' house, and Bradley Whitford and Catherine Keener are good. They're good, and they're kind of almost standoffish when we first meet them. They're hiding something, and it's almost uncomfortable to watch. Watching Bradley Whitford say awkward things like, I would have voted for Obama for a third term. It's almost wincing to watch, but watching Daniel Kaluuya just sort of, yeah, I kind of agree with you. Kind of given that, like, that awkward positivity is good. I think he's good in the film. I think all the leads except for Allison Williams is good. I think she's possibly the weakest part of the film, outside of some of the more outrageous things tackled in the film. Watch it. Just watch it. I recommend just watching it. It's good. Not great, but it's okay.
No.
I can only imagine he's going home right now to party the night away, surrounded by friends and lady activewear models.
Hey, computer. I'm home.
And finally, the final film I'm talking about is going to be Lego Batman, the Lego Batman movie. I saw it not too long ago. It is okay. It is good. I will give it that. It is good, but it is not fantastic. I think in 2014, that Lego movie was a masterpiece in its own right. It was almost, everything was going against it. The Lego movie. Everything was going against it. It almost felt like a cheap cash grab or a cash-in from Warner Brothers to make a film about a product without much of a story. It's just bricks that you construct. And so a lot going against it in that regard. And it worked for some reason. They brought in Phil Lord and Christopher Miller, who did 21 Jump Street and Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. And it was funny, it was touching, and it had a message to say. And the breakout star of that film, not only was it Emmett, but it was also Lego Batman, played by Will Arnett. And he gets his own film with the Lego Batman movie. Is it good? It's okay. It's not great. It deals a lot with Batman's emotionality and how he has to sort of cope with the fact that he's lonely and what he has to do to get over that loneliness. And we even sort of deal with the Joker's loneliness, and I guess it's an anti-affection towards Batman, where he wants to be known as Batman's greatest enemy, and Batman won't give him the satisfaction of that. And it's an interesting take on Joker and Batman and their relationship and that dichotomy between them, and also the dichotomy between Batman and Bruce Wayne as separate characters and what they want each, even though they're the same person. Batman wants to live the sweet life, the rock star life of saving Gotham and reaping the rewards from the townspeople of Gotham. And Batman really just wants to have a family and someone to come home to. And so we deal with that. We deal with him adopting Robin. He's a little bit apprehensive at first, but like any good animated film dealing with a character that is as pompous and jerkish and as dickish as Lego Batman is, of course he is going to find the error of his ways by the end of the film. So you have Batman, played by Will Arnett, watching Jerry Maguire and laughing at the absurdity of, you complete me, shut up, you had me at hello, and just having him laugh. But you can also feel some of the tender moments of his loneliness when he's speaking to a picture of his parents at the theater of the final night they were alive. You can actually feel the tenderness, and you really don't get a lot of that tenderness much in the beginning because, of course, Batman can't let anyone see his true emotional side. But as the film progresses, you get to see a little bit more of that yearning for family. Michael Cera is fantastic as Robin. I think he's possibly my favorite character in the film. Outside of Joker, Joker is this maniacal, insane person who kind of has a heart of gold almost. Ben Affleck's Batman in Batman vs. Superman was possibly cool because of his brutality, and this Batman is awesome because of his emotionality. I think this is the most emotional Batman that we've seen outside of Christian Bale's Batman, his interpretation of Batman. Even though this is a plastic character, completely modeled by a computer, there is still some emotion that is seeping through these characters. Joker, in the opening scene, he's heartbroken that he's not regarded as Batman's greatest enemy, and just watching him sort of almost break down and tear up is almost to the point where you're like, man, I kind of feel sorry for Joker right now. Batman is kind of a D-bag. Same thing with Batman talking to the picture of his parents. It's like, man, I kind of feel bad for Batman, even though this guy's kind of a D-bag. There's a lot of jokes here. It's kind of the Chris McKay, who directed the film, comes from a background on Adult Swim cartoons, and you can really feel the rapid fire 10 jokes a minute sort of comedy approach that he brings to it, where it's joke, 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 joke. Next scene, joke, 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 joke. And it kind of runs thin. At least for me, it was about maybe 30 to 40 minutes into the film, and I'm kind of like, these jokes are just thin. They're very thin. They don't pack much punch. It's almost like eating a bag of potato chips and not really feeling satisfied with either with any of the chips that you put in your mouth. That's what she said. And the jokes that do come are so far and few between past that half-hour point that it becomes almost a chore to watch Batman just say something absurd. Don't get me wrong, it's still entertaining, and I still like the action sequences in Lego Batman are oddly satisfying. Like just watching him like do karate chops, but doing it in a way where you can actually see the dust and dirt and the fingerprint grease on his cowl and on his chest, and having him move. Everything moves in stop motion. There's like this stop motion mentality to this film and the Lego movie that really speak to this idea of a kid playing with toys. And I guess that's why Batman is so D-bag. It's almost like a child's interpretation of what a superstar is like. And that does kind of weigh thin. I do like Batman's relationship with Barbara Gordon. I didn't mention this in the review, but Batman has a relationship with Barbara Gordon that is platonic. At first, Batman sees her and is in love with Barbara Gordon. There's something about her that he just almost falls in love with, and as the film progresses, you can tell that Barbara is her own person. And there's even a scene where he, gives her the Batgirl suit and says, "You're Batgirl." And she kind of replies with, "Would it be okay if I can call you Batboy?" And I sort of like that relationship between them both. It's not a romantic relationship. There isn't a forced romantic partner in the film. And that seems to be the motif in a lot of these animated pictures. Moana, who doesn't have a husband. You have Frozen, who kind of turns the idea of finding a husband on its head. You have Zootopia, which is not about finding someone to, stay with the rest of your life. I would say wait for this to come out on DVD or VOD. Just wait for it in that regard. You really don't have to rush out and see it, even though you probably already did, since you already have kids, so really desperately wanted to see the picture. So yeah, those are my reviews for Logan, Get Out, and the Lego Batman movie. If you really want to read the write-ups that I did a little bit more in-depth reviews in the description down below. You can click the link for each one of those film reviews, their respective film reviews, or you can visit lazydogfilms.net where you can read the reviews, and you can also check out the list of the Oscar winners. That's way off. You really don't want to do that. But you can also check out my reviews for Legion on FX, and also Big Little Lies and Crashing on HBO. One great show, one good show, one so-so show.
Because last I checked, I only had one butt. Let's go defeat the Joker.
Woo! We're going on a family trip. I can wear my costume too.
Well, luckily for us, you left your costume back in... Oh, no, under your clothes. That's perfect.
If you want to check out my latest video, you can check out my thesis on A Serious Man, where you can click over there. If you want to subscribe, click subscribe. Don't forget to hit that bell. That way you can be the first to watch a Lazy Dog Film video, whether it's a review or a thesis. Follow me on Twitter at LazyDogFilmBlog or on Facebook.com/LazyDogFilms. Check out LazyDogFilms.net for more reviews and written articles. Thank you. I've been Jonathan Silva, and this has been Lazy Dog Films.